we're going to try something that we have never, ever tried before. And I do mean that. I know groups sometimes say, we've never done this, first time live ever. No, this is true. Because that's if we make a few mistakes, you won't beat us up too bad. So, the biggest challenge that we have whenever we travel is really trying to explain the spirit of the mummers. And you know, it is true. You have to see it to believe it. You have to see it to experience it. But lots of people have some really good questions about what we do and what our tradition is. And one of the most popular questions we get is, you are called the Aqua string band. I say, correct. And they say, and why the heck are there so many saxophones? Where are the strings? Well, you know, we thought it would be kind of neat to do something different. We want to try to recreate for you the history of the string band sound. Now, the first string band marched in 1902. The parade itself, though, is much older than that. Okay? And the tradition itself, like I said, stretches back to the original colonies. But the string bands, the Aqua string bands, are really one of the most famous parts of the Philadelphia Mummers Parade. We're sort of like the major leagues. It's when we get the best time for television, the best part of the day, everyone comes out and sees us. Because more than any other group within the parade, we play our own music. But that music, just like clothing and the musical styles of today, it has changed and evolved over time. And we thought it would be kind of neat if we could see if we could recreate the history of the string band sound. So this is an experiment. And our guys are ready for it. We're going to try to have a little bit of fun with this. And I even have some notes here, because I don't want to mess this up, because it's a long bus ride home and they'll make me walk. So, the Mummers, as I said, is deeply rooted in family, deeply rooted in tradition. And you know, similar to you folks in Massachusetts, I think you guys know that Philadelphia is a pretty competitive town. We love our sports and we love to challenge each other to almost anything, and some things I can't even mention. But if there's a bet on the line, we'll take it and we'll work with it. So back in 1898, that's how far back, 1898, there was a young man who had a few friends that played banjo. And the banjo players, raise your hand. Show these good folks what the banjo is. You know, normally we associate it with Southern music, Southern traditional music, but there was a few of them here in Philadelphia, and they said, hey, I bet you, why, I don't know, maybe too much beer, too much, less sleep, I don't know. They said, hey, I bet you that we could play better than any other four-stringed instrument. We can play better than violins, we can play better than guitars, we can play better than mandolins. So, sure enough, it didn't take much time for the challenge to be accepted. Now, we don't have any violins today, for reasons which I'll explain in a little bit, but we're going to have one of our accordion players here replicate the sound of a violin, and the person who's doing that is actually Paul Gluck, who is a native of Springfield, Massachusetts. He's also sitting next to Brian Elliott, who is also a native of Springfield, Massachusetts. See, being in a string band is like a disease. Once you get infected with it, there's no cure. So these guys actually come down, actually quite frequently, from Massachusetts to Philadelphia to play with us. But Paul is going to replicate the sound of the violin on his accordion, and we have some guitars on the stage, and we have some banjos on the stage. And when these guys met back in 1828, instead of each musician waiting to take their turn to play, they all just joined in together. And they actually kind of liked the sound. So it kind of might have sounded a little bit something like this. So, Digger, are you ready?
Ready.
By the way, everybody in string band has a nickname. This is Digger. He is a mortician. I have a nickname too, but I cannot repeat it in polite company. So Digger, are you ready?
Ready.
Let's take it away, guys. very mellow, very nice sound. So after about a year or two of playing like this, more people wanted in on the act. More people wanted to join in and play. And in 1902, the Mummers asked this young group of musicians to join their parade and to play in their parade. So the first thing that was added was just a couple of saxophones, just to play along with the melody. Now, to march in a parade, you need to be able to keep a beat. And it was nothing fancy, just something simple, so that all the musicians who were now outdoors could hear what was going on. Now, what I think is the most monumental moment in string band history, in 1920, the Aqua string band was formed. But we didn't just come on the scene, we decided that we were going to add what is known in Philadelphia as the most distinctive sound to the Philadelphia string band, and that is the glockenspiel. Not too long after, in 1925, the accordions joined in. Sounds really nice, and would march around their neighborhoods, march up Broad Street, the crowd would come out, and they would play old standards, and people loved it. But then some of the groups started to get a little bit more creative. Now, Philadelphia is home to more bass saxophones than anywhere else in the world. So the bass saxophone was added. Provide a little bit of bass, a little bit of under. Now, at the time, there was a famous band director who once said, "I don't care how well you play, I just care how loud you play." So they added a few more instruments in, mostly the tenor saxophone and the baritone saxophones. Now by 1960 and 1970, the bands in Philadelphia started to get even more competitive. The music that they had written was even more challenging, more complicated, and it required a more complex rhythm. And it required more harmony instruments. Now the string band had a parade, and more parades all over the world. And to this day, the string bands have performed everything from presidential inaugurations to your birthday parties. There's nothing in the world like the sound of the Philadelphia string band. Nice job, guys. Thank you.